Welcome back to Brand Champions, brought to you by Teal, the agency. I'm Howard Wolpoff, your host, and we're talking about brands, branding, and the great people that create brands for companies. And I have with me again Janine Hogan,
Hello.
my co-host. Janine, welcome to our conversation.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Let me ask you a question. When it comes to a brand, what is the difference when you're focusing on branding an individual or branding a corporation or even a building?
Well, I think personal branding is very different from branding a larger entity, a larger business. And one of the reasons is because that personal experience has to be molded and translated into something a little bit more tangible to really bring out and highlight that experience in a way that can tell a story. And but both really do have a common ground, which is their target audience. So knowing what their pain points that they're addressing with the solutions that they provide to help their clients. So that's always going to be the common denominator. But I think with the corporate brands, what you have is the opportunity to really reach a wide audience and turn your audience, your prospects, into fans of your company. So as we start talking today with some of our guests, I know that they're working more with businesses and corporations, and we're going to find out a little bit about how they help their brands do that, how they can address their audiences and build their brands around loyalty for really creating fans and creating that loyalty that way.
And we definitely have some strong guests with us, and I'd like to introduce them. Joining us as our guest today is Scott Aaron from Scott Aaron Consulting and Amit Egan Datwani from Global Consulting Organization. And gentlemen, welcome to our conversation today.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
I want to start quickly with Scott. You work with different businesses. Where do you see the strength? Branding the business or branding the individual business owner?
I think it really depends on where that visibility is coming from. For me, I focus a lot on LinkedIn strategy. So a lot of people on LinkedIn, yes, you can have a company page, but that company, that individual, whoever is representing it, is spending their time using their personal profile. So it really is determined by that end goal result that you guys were speaking about with the ideal client. So doing and building out that personal brand through your LinkedIn personal profile is going to give you that exposure, because basically that's what LinkedIn is for. It's for personal branding, it's for brand visibility and brand reach. And if it's done the right way, you can see a great result.
Now, I mean, you deal branding in a very different way. You are rebranding organizations, buildings, concepts for people to really grow business and as extensions to their business. So why don't you share a little bit about how you are doing that with your clients?
Sure. The biggest challenge that our clients are having today is finding good quality tenants for their vacant office buildings. And what we do in order to help them with that challenge, one of the ways that we're proposing to them in order to bring in an innovative approach is to create commercial office brands inspired by the hospitality sector, and similar to what we've seen transpire with branded residences over the past 30 plus years.
That's amazing. And it sounds like you have a very special niche. Can you tell me a little bit from your consulting side, what is the process that you're using to help them develop these brands?
The process that we use is a project starting system. That project starting system is powered by 31 different services under our visioning, branding, and marketing platform. And when we initiate this process, we often call upon our 5 foundational pillars. Those pillars are home, comfort, convenience, and well-being. And these pillars are in place depending on project to project. And what they do is they help us to guide our clients in a very specific direction to ensure that what we're designing, what we're visioning, what we're branding, and what we're ultimately marketing is a good fit for the project.
That's amazing. Sounds pretty awesome. They're lucky to have you. And Scott, for you, so I love LinkedIn, and as we know from a branding perspective and even a business perspective, people like doing business with people, not logos, right? So you mentioned leveraging LinkedIn and using those personal profiles as well as maybe the company page or the business profile. So how are you helping your clients leverage the two and fill and really fill that gap between we want people to go to our personal profile and know, like, and trust us right away, but how do we help translate that into the business side for them?
Well, I think that the personal profile side of LinkedIn does represent the business. So whether I'm working with an individual consultant or coach or a large company and organization, it's the same approach. It's thinking about who that ideal client is on the LinkedIn platform. And I always talk about thinking about the end in mind. Think about the passenger side perspective, the ideal client that's spending their time on there. You know, what are the things that you need to have on your LinkedIn profile that when your profile appears in a search result, that's really going to attract that person to what it is that you do, how you do it, and who you do it for. And then if you lump on top of that a content strategy that is geared towards educating and informing that audience that you're building, that is your ideal client avatar, then you're going to start building that know, like, and trust, which is something that you spoke about earlier. And then obviously, as they're interested more in what you're doing, they're going to scroll through your profile. They're going to see the companies that you own or the one company that you own. They're going to click on it and they're going to learn at a more deeper level, obviously, the company, how it started, what it's all about, and in the end, how it could help that specific person and that ideal client or customer.
Yep, 100% agree. Love it.
Well, it's key that having the right strategy for your branding and making sure that you know who you're working with, what kind of message you want to get out there, and really what your target audience is universal for what you are trying to accomplish, but be more specific when you really get down into that entity that you're addressing. So, Scott, Amit, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you all for joining us as well. Having your brand message out there is very important. Having the right strategy to make sure you are speaking to your audience so they respond is even more important. So it's important to have those right people guiding you and creating that strategy with you. And that will be a part of your recipe for future brand success. So for Janine Hogan, I'm Howard Wolpoff. Thank you for joining us. Go out, have a great rest of today, and we will see you next time.